G'day guys, and today I'm not really sure what to call this video, but I'll just get talking and we'll see what happens. So I have a bit of an urge today to talk a bit about chaos and possibility and gestation and this sort of thing. And if you're familiar with any of Jordan Peterson's work, especially his book 12 Rules for Life, you'll know he talks about this quite a bit, talking about how chaos is not necessarily a destructive or negative force in of itself, but it can also be, the realm of new possibilities, of birth, gestation, and things I touched upon before. And in my own personal life, I'm beginning to move into a period of chaos, essentially. And again, I'm not looking at it as a sense of something destructive or negative. I'm looking at it in terms of new possibilities and that sort of thing. And I figured, as I do, when things are coming up in my life that I feel like I could derive some value or some lessons from, it'd be good if I could share it with a wider audience. And again, making sure I'm talking about the idea rather than my life itself, because my life, I did this, I did that, I spoke to this person, isn't as interesting, it isn't as important as the ideas behind it. So why I was doing this, why I was doing that, and so on and so forth. So what I'm finding nowadays is I'm actually much more receptive to new possibilities, change, and this sort of thing. In the past, much like my father, very rigid person. I don't like change. I don't like, I like my ordered little structure, my little ordered plots of how I'm going to structure my life and this sort of thing. But circumstances has forced this to change. Where I thought my life was heading has been radically changed, and now new possibilities are rising up and this sort of thing. And I'm much more receptive to that nowadays, and it's very exciting. And I'm going, this is great. I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to do that. So many people want to talk to me and this sort of thing. But what I'm doing now is reminding myself, essentially, of that negative side of chaos, because chaos is also the unknown, and a new possibility is not inherently good or bad, and you can't tell that just by looking at it, because you have human perception, and that's inherently flawed. You're not omnipotent, you're not omniscient, you can't look at something and know exactly how it's going to turn out. You can have a good idea, but you can't predict the future with 100% accuracy. So what I was doing, actually, I was looking at decorating my room, and I found one of those old medieval maps, right? And it had the stylized dragons in the ocean and this sort of thing. And right at the edge of the map, what you'll notice in these old maps, it has this phrase, SVNT, and I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correct. And that translates to "Here be dragons." And I think that's really interesting, because that's just the edge of the map, and they literally have no idea what's further and just say, "Here be dragons." And I think that's really interesting in that it's representing the unknown, potentially an area of new possibility as being potentially dangerous. And again, I don't want to encourage people to live, a fearful life, or to shut themselves off from possibility and gestation and this sort of thing. But I think it bears relevance to remind yourself that chaos is not necessarily something inherently positive. Now, I'm pretty set in my ways already, I understand that, but I think a lot of people are a lot more outgoing than me, a lot more open, and they'll be quick to jump at new opportunities. I've met people like this in the past. They really want to try new things, it seems, regardless of potential outcomes, and that's who I'm really speaking to here, as well as people like myself who are running into this event for potentially the first time in life. It does bear relevance to remind yourself of DRACONES, that you're unable to predict the future perfectly, you're not omnipotent, you can't tell how things are going to point out. So when you're entering new waters, charting uncharted territory and that sort of thing, it would bear relevance to take your metaphorical compass, your metaphorical map, and attempt to move into this place very carefully. It's like if you find yourself in a wood at night and you just wake up there, are you going to charge headlong off in one direction, or are you going to carefully move your way through, potentially feeling the ground and that sort of thing, because you don't know what's going to happen. You could fall into a ditch, you could fall into a ravine, all sorts of horrible things could happen. There could be predatory animals, so you proceed with caution. And I think that bears a lot of relevance to real life. And again, it's hard to think of it that way, because when you look at the world, it doesn't look like a dark forest at night, but it can often be that way, and I think that's a great way to represent it. Or again, if you're going canoeing, or you're on a boat or something, and you're literally moving into waters you've never been before, do you go full throttle, 30 knots an hour, and just slam your way through? No, you proceed cautiously, because there might be rocks, there might be reefs, there might be whirlpools, any kind of amount of hazards. So that's something I'm attempting to keep in mind at the moment. Something I thought I'd share with you all today. Again, I'm not really sure what I'm going to title this video, but again, I think it just bears relevance that when you're moving into new areas of your life, and it does seem very exciting, you can be overcome by passion. You really just want to dive in and try lots of new things. And it is very exciting, new possibilities and that sort of thing, but I think it's good to temper yourself, especially that animalistic nature that seeks to gather resources and dominate, and that sort of thing. It's good to temper that with some knowledge that, you know, perhaps all these exciting things, you know, on the surface might appear that way, but again, they could actually turn out to hurt us. So yeah, I hope you derive some value from this video. If you have any thoughts, I'd be happy to hear them down in the comments section below, and I hope you all have a good one.